less experienced in space than Lovell. Swigert had joined the mission only a few days before launch, replacing original crew member Ken Mattingly, who had been exposed to German measles. Apollo 13 launched on April 11th, 1970, from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Initially, the mission proceeded smoothly. The powerful Saturn V rocket performed flawlessly, propelling the spacecraft into orbit and setting it on course for the moon. Spirits were high as the crew settled into the routine of their journey. But just 2 days into the mission, disaster struck, a moment that would forever redefine Apollo 13. On the evening of April 13th, the crew was performing a routine procedure, stirring the cryogenic oxygen tanks in the service module. This simple action triggered a catastrophic chain of events. A damaged wire inside one of the tanks caused a spark, which ignited the highly pressurized oxygen. The resulting explosion ripped through the service module, crippling the spacecraft and depriving it of vital resources. Houston, we've had a problem, Jack Swigert reported, a phrase that has since become iconic. What followed was a chilling cascade of realizations. The explosion had severely damaged the spacecraft's oxygen supply, which was not only essential for the crew to breathe, but also critical for generating electricity and water. The mission to the moon was over. The new objective was far more urgent, bringing the crew home alive. The odds were daunting. Apollo 13 was approximately 200,000 miles from Earth when the explosion occurred, and the spacecraft systems were failing rapidly. The lunar module, named Aquarius, designed to carry 2 astronauts to the moon's surface, became an impromptu lifeboat for all 3 crew members. The lunar module had its own oxygen supply, batteries, and propulsion system, but it was never intended to support 3 people for an extended period. NASA's engineers and flight controllers, led by Flight Director Gene Kranz, quickly mobilized in mission control. The ingenuity and problem-solving displayed over the next several days were nothing short of heroic. Teams worked around the clock to devise solutions, often using nothing more than the limited materials available on board the spacecraft. One of the most famous examples was the creation of a makeshift carbon dioxide filter using duct tape, plastic bags, and other spare items. While the ground teams worked tirelessly, the crew faced immense challenges. The cramped quarters of the lunar module grew colder by the hour as power dwindled, dropping to near-freezing temperatures. Condensation formed on every surface, and the astronauts rationed water and food to stretch their supplies. Despite these hardships, they remained remarkably composed and focused, a testament to their training and professionalism. To bring Apollo 13 back to Earth, NASA devised a complex and daring plan. The spacecraft, extraordinary precision was a pivotal moment in the mission. It demonstrated not only the crew's skill, but also the collective expertise of the countless individuals supporting them from the ground. As Apollo 13 hurtled back toward Earth, there was still one final hurdle: re-entry. The damaged service module had to be jettisoned, and the crew compartment, housed in the command module Odyssey, had to survive the intense heat and pressure of re-entry into Earth's atmosphere. For those watching from mission control and around the world, the tension was palpable. Finally, on April 17th, 1970, after more than 4 days of uncertainty and peril, Apollo 13 splashed down safely in the Pacific Ocean. The crew was alive. Their harrowing ordeal was over. It was a moment of profound relief and celebration, a triumph of human ingenuity and perseverance in the face of adversity. In the aftermath of the mission, the Apollo 13 astronauts were hailed as heroes, and rightfully so. Their calm determination and resourcefulness under pressure had captured the imagination of millions. Commander Jim Lovell went on to write a memoir, Lost Moon, which became the basis for the acclaimed film Apollo 13. Fred Hayes transitioned to roles in aerospace and business, while Jack Swigert pursued a career in politics before tragically passing away in 1982. But the legacy of Apollo 13 extends far beyond the lives of its crew. It reshaped NASA's approach to safety, engineering, and procedural changes, Apollo 13 also had a profound cultural and psychological impact. For the American public, it served as a reminder of the inherent risks of space exploration. While the Apollo 11 landing had been a jubilant triumph and a symbol of human achievement, Apollo 13 revealed the vulnerability and fragility of those who ventured beyond Earth. But it also underscored the power of perseverance and ingenuity, inspiring a renewed sense of unity and pride during a time of social and political upheaval. The story of Apollo 13 has been immortalized in books, documentaries, and films, probably most famously in Ron Howard's 1995 movie Apollo 13. The film brought the harrowing details of the mission to a new generation, showcasing not just the drama, but also the humanity of the event. The iconic performances of Tom Hanks as Jim Lovell and Ed Harris as Gene Kranz captured the spirit of the mission and reminded audiences of the extraordinary courage and skill required to bring the crew home. For the astronauts themselves, the experience of Apollo 13 left an indelible mark. Jim Lovell, who had come tantalizingly close to his dream of walking on the moon, chose to focus not on the disappointment, but on the success of their survival. He became a sought-after speaker, sharing the lessons of the mission with audiences around the world. Fred Hayes, despite enduring significant physical challenges during the mission, continued to contribute to space exploration and later worked on the space shuttle program. Jack Swigert, though he passed away prematurely, left behind a legacy of courage and adaptability that continues to inspire. In the broader narrative of space exploration, Apollo 13 serves as a reminder that success is not always measured by achieving the original goal. While the mission did not accomplish its objective of landing on the moon, it achieved something far greater, a demonstration of what humanity is capable of when faced with adversity. The legacy of Apollo 13 lives on in every spacecraft, every mission control center, and every team of explorers who dare to push the boundaries of what's possible. It reminds us